Today we're going to be talking about things we wish we knew when we were teenagers and our biggest regrets.
Welcome back to your Cup of Tea podcast. This is your boy Josh
and Katie, and today's going to be a really good one. I mean, I say that every podcast because they're all a little juicy. I mean, it is your cup of tea, your cup of tea. We gonna be spilling it. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, we're spilling all the tea today, and we're talking about our biggest regrets and also things we wish we knew. Because I feel like once you get older, and yes, your boy just turned 28 recently, so I can say I'm old now.
You do get older.
That's gonna offend a lot of the older viewers out there. I'm just kidding. You only get better with age, and now looking back on life, there's some things I wish I knew when I was younger, and definitely I don't like the word regrets.
No,
but I feel like there's things I look back on and I would definitely do differently. And I feel like anybody out there that's younger watching this can learn something in today's podcast.
I wish I could go back to high school for like maybe just a week or even a day.
Oh my god!
With just like my mindset now and just see like where it would be, like how different, like because.
It would be so different for me. I know that.
Your mindset when you are in high school is so different than once you're out of it and you actually experience like real world and like real problems versus like what you thought was a problem and things that aren't even a problem. So we're going to talk about some of those things.
Before we spill all the tea, we do want to say thank you guys for all the reviews you have been leaving. It helps us a lot and it makes us be able to continue doing these podcasts. So if you like the podcast, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and also subscribe if you're watching on YouTube.
Give it that 5 star.
To us. With that being said, let's get into it. I want to talk about, let's jump right into it. The biggest regret of KDB. Everyone has regrets.
High school?
Yeah, everyone has regrets when they get older. Whatever you want to call it.
My biggest regret in high school is letting my ex-boyfriend treat me the way he did. I'd say that's the only regret I have. Of like not being so, because I was such a like confident, like I know who I am, I know my worth, but for some reason it was my first relationship.
It's hard to be hard on yourself for that though, because it was your first relationship, first like quote unquote love.
And I don't even necessarily like regret. I wish I would have stood up for myself a little bit more and not accepted that and been more like, I'd rather have no boyfriend, no one love me than to be treated like that. So I just feel like that's my only really actual like kind of regret.
When you say treated like that, you mean like treated wrongfully in the relationship, or you mean more so like kind of, I don't want to say peer pressured, but like almost like pressured into things?
Both. Well, I honestly feel like I just thought the idea of like someone liking you so much and like just having a boyfriend, like I thought that was so cool. So I feel like I didn't have an expectation really of, I knew it was wrong, but I would try and hide things that happened, like the way he treated me, things he would say, like I was always being accused of like cheating on him. I was always like, he would walk by my classroom and like basically make sure that I wasn't like talking to other people. Like we'd fight about things, and like we've never fought about these things because I am not a cheater. I've never given reason to do these things.
Doesn't
and like
even cross my mind.
To me, it was like, I should have known my self-worth, and I feel like I could have either nipped that in the bud, and maybe our relationship, it wouldn't have got so toxic if I would have been like, okay, either you're not going to date, like you're not going to talk to me like this, or we're not dating.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just trying to like please him and be like, oh no, like don't break up with me. Like I didn't do anything, I swear. You know? So I feel like I wish I would have been more like myself and been like, who cares? It's a high school relationship. But in high school, this is something that I learned is like, and my mom told me this, and I thought she was wrong at the time. And I kind of knew she was going to be right, but I didn't want to believe her. And my uncle said this too. He's like, trust me, like this heartbreak that you're going through now, this is when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. They're like, this heartbreak that you're going through now, you're going to look back and you're going to think it's so silly because you have so much more than this high school relationship.
Honestly, that is one thing that like, because we're talking about like what we wish we knew and everything and like our regrets, but like high school is such a short portion of your life. But when you are in high school, it seems never ending. And like if anything, like say something embarrassing happens, it's like you'll never live it down. Like, yeah, it's the end of all. And you're never going to live it down. But in reality, it's like, it's 4 years of your life. Like, that is so short.
I mean,
so short.
I literally forgot all the like craziness of like the embarrassing stories to people that happened. But in the time, it seems so big and so like detrimental to people's. And like what scares me so bad is it's so sad because there's like kids who literally will take their lives for things that happened in high school that once you're older, you realize you're like, that happened to so many kids. It's not as big of a deal as like you thought it was. Like it wasn't worth your life. It was never worth any of these things. And like maybe it's not something as serious, but like people get in these situations, you're like, it's not that big of a deal. And if like I could tell any younger high school kid or even middle school is like things that happen. If it seems like the end of the world, it is not the end of the world. It's not. Like you have so much more life left, and like things that like you're totally going to forget about the dumb thing you did with your ex-boyfriend, or you getting in trouble, or you think, yeah.
You know what put a lot of pressure on it for me, I think, is so many older people that I knew back then when I was in high school used to always say, high school, those are the best 4 years of your life. Like, make sure you enjoy it. And I remember when people told me that, and I literally like, I could almost cry when people told me that, because I'm like, I hate this. This
you know
is
what?
terrible. That is one of my regrets. We'll talk about it later, but that is one of my regrets, is my attitude in high school. But like, I hated high school. I hated those 4 years. And like, I am so glad those were not the best 4 years of my life, because that honestly put so much pressure on me. When people would tell me that, I'd be like, but I do understand, obviously looking back on it now, I guess, because it's like, oh, you have no responsibilities, this and that. But like, you kind of do. You just got to wake up.
Yeah.
You got to go to school. You got to go to soccer
You
practice.
feel like a prisoner.
You got to do your homework. Like, you're on everybody else's time. And like, after you get out of high school, it's like, yeah, you have responsibilities, but like, you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, no one's like controlling
honestly
you.
It's funny because we had totally different high school experiences. Like I genuinely feel like I liked high school a lot. You like say you didn't really like it.
I don't know
and
why.
To me, it's funny because when people would say these are the best 4 years of your life, I liked high school. And to me, I don't know why. I must have already known. Like I was like, if this is like, that's depressing if you're saying this is the best 4 years of your life.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, my life's going to get way better than this. I know it is.
It didn't make me sad because when people would say that, and this is what I think in my head, well, you peaked in high school. Like
Well, yeah,
I literally would think that.
true.
I'd be like, okay, well, clearly you must have been like some big athlete and you're still living in the glory. Cause to me, I saw other people. I'm like, there's so much better things that come after high school. Like high school can't be the best there is to offer for me. Like I like high school. I'm enjoying it, but I know that life is going to get, like life hasn't even started until you're like out of high school.
Some people, yeah, but some people had it different, partying every weekend, like whatever it was. But that wasn't my experience in high school, and I'm glad, because again, I'm glad I didn't peak in high school, because
no, I definitely did not.
That's definitely,
I did not peak in high school. I did not.
Don't peak in high school. That's my number one advice to you.
Okay, so we'll talk about how not to peak in high school too. I wrote down a list of some things I want to talk about. So first thing, school and grades do not determine everything of your future, but your work ethic does. So don't hear what I'm saying and being like, oh, like F school, like I don't even need to pay attention. I don't need to do anything of this or that. Like I don't need school. Like Katie said, so that's not what I'm saying. If you are not getting all A's, but you are still trying at school, you are still participating, you are still there, but you don't feel like it's for you, you still need to try, because your work ethic is going to determine how good you do. I used to see kids in school and just be like, damn, they have all A's. Like I know in my heart, like I'm going to be successful doing something, but I just don't know what it is, because they're going to like be making money. They're going to go to college. They're going to get a good ACT or SAT score. Like they're just going to do so much better off than me, because I guess I'm stupid. Like I guess I have A's and B's and I have like a C. And I was like, I wish I was like better at school. Like I wish I was just more naturally like gifted at school. Yeah. And I would put this like kind of pressure on myself, but I didn't really care at the same time because I knew it wasn't my passion. But I always thought, like back in my head, I was like, damn, I hope I don't end up like a loser who goes nowhere in life because I don't have all A's. But like I feel like school puts this pressure on you to get all A's, to have these grades, and those are the people who are going to be rich and successful in life.
Yeah.
Or like the happiest.
Getting good grades or striving for good grades is definitely super important.
Yes.
That's something I wish I put a little bit more effort into, but I still worked hard at it, but definitely didn't come as naturally for me. Like, certain like math I was good at, but other things I wasn't. I failed English. But
I definitely think it's important to I turned in every single assignment. I never missed assignments.
I always did homework.
Important.
I just sucked at studying for tests, honestly.
But I think you need to give yourself a little grace, because if you aren't the kid who's getting all A's, that does not determine that you're not going to be successful. That does not determine your future. I thought it did. And I thought that like your ACT score, what college you went to, what your grades were going to reflect the life that you lived.
You know what?
That's not true.
I have a lot of advice for it. Is the reason why I feel like I couldn't apply myself 100% in high school is because I feel like in middle school, they have you take all these tests, right?
Yeah.
That is like, oh, like, okay, here's your top 5, like, jobs that you're gonna want to do. And mine was like orthopedic surgeon, because like on the test I always like, I like sports, I like like being athletic, I like being outside, I like doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, I'm not gonna be an orthopedic surgeon. Like that's not something I want to be. So it's like put so much pressure on like figuring out what you want to do. So when you get to high school, you can start focusing on that. And it's like, I didn't know. So I'm like, well, why am I applying myself? I don't even know what I want to do.
Well, it's like career day. Did you guys have career day?
I go to
I'm
career
like,
day.
holy
Shit, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a loser the rest of my life.
I'm like, I don't want to do any of these careers.
14
like
years old. Yeah.
And the thing is like, I feel like nowadays, especially, we are so lucky to live in a generation where there's so many more job opportunities.
True.
Like now I look at like, I'm like, I always think I'm like, okay, if I didn't do YouTube, I would do this, this, and this. None of those were at career day.
Same.
None of those things that I think I would love to do were at your typical like career day.
My career day, yeah, it was like orthopedic surgeon, physical therapist,
Dentist, chiropractor.
I think I always got dentist,
police officer.
Yeah, and I would get like firefighter and police officer, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with any of those jobs. But
it just wasn't something I
didn't want to do any of those jobs. But like I would say, I was like, oh yeah, I got orthopedic surgeon. They make this amount of money. Like how cool. But like I knew deep down, like obviously it wasn't gonna be that. Like that's not something I really wanted to do.
It is just crazy though. I feel like there is definitely this pressure. And why I say it's your work ethic is because I think it's so important to turn all your papers in, still try in school, still pay attention. Your work ethic is going to determine what other job you do. No matter what career you choose, if you have a good work ethic, you can build your way to the top. Even if you are in a job that doesn't make a lot of money. Okay, here's an example. And no offense to teachers. I absolutely love teachers. My whole family was teachers. My dads, my aunts, uncles, everyone. Teachers don't really make a ton of money. I genuinely believe teachers should make more money because I think their job is really hard and they have to put up with a lot of
they got to put up with kids or high school students.
It's more than babysitting. And then also like it's because some people just be like, oh, you're just babysitting if you're a teacher. It's like, that's not true.
No.
You're pouring so much more, rather than to the education in these kids' lives. Like you're being like almost like another parent figure,
like
and a role model. And the thing is with teaching, wait, I don't even know where I was going with this. Oh, work ethic. No, work ethic. Okay, work ethic.
Either, honestly.
So let's say you're in a job like teaching, right? It's like you can't really grow your salary too much more unless you put in like time and years. But this is where I always look at, you're not capped at what your job is. So like, okay, I have a family member who's a teacher. They're really, really gifted at creating curriculum. And I'm like, you should create a curriculum and sell it. Like there's not just because you're a good teacher doesn't mean you have to stop there and be like, oh, I love this, but I can't make money here. Why don't do you not see all those TikTok teachers that are literally now making so much money? Like they do teaching and they do TikTok. Now they do brand deals. Now they get stuff for their classrooms. It's like you put your passion into other things. There's no cap on it. You don't just have to be a teacher. So that's just like my, I guess, like advice on that. Because I always see people and they're like, oh, well, like you don't make a lot of money here. I feel like if you're passionate about something, you can make so much money in any category.
Yeah. And there's always like entrepreneur things you can do with like pretty much any job if you really wanted. But
yeah. And that's if you're trying to make more money. But obviously the main thing is you do want to love what you do. You want to wake up every single day, happy, passionate. And because that's the ultimate success. Not the money. It literally, obviously money is very important.
True.
I'm not going to pretend it's not, but I think it's very important that you do something that makes you happy.
One of my biggest regrets in high school or as a teenager was I didn't play every single sport possible in high school. Like I wish I played soccer, football, basketball, tennis. Like I would have played them all. Like obviously you can't play them all, but like, you could play at least three.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I did play them all. Like because my dad loved sports. So he loved all sports. So it was always kind of like, let's try all the sports.
I played sports year round, but I played soccer like for high school and then I had travel soccer. But like I could have definitely like played travel soccer and then played another sport
but it's crazy because I would have loved to see how good you'd be at basketball, football, because you are good at basketball. You say you're not, but you are.
I'm not good at basketball. That is one sport I'm not good at.
But for not playing and ever like growing, you're pretty good at basketball.
True. Yeah.
Like you're athletic. And imagine like if you actually played the sport, you would have been so good.
I would have been curious, like growing up, like I never really did anything with football. My parents didn't watch football. Like I played like backyard like football with my friends, but that was it. But like I would have been curious like, how that went.
I just had a weird thought.
I don't know why.
What if like I grew up with your parents and you grew up with my parents? Like I wonder.
It's a very weird thought.
I wonder because like
Doggy
obviously,
would have had me running sprints in the backyard at like 2 years old.
oh hell yeah, you would have been came in crying because he would have been too hard on you. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah. That's an interesting
But like,
question. I
would I
don't
have
know.
played volleyball? Would I have like played travel soccer? Like maybe I don't know because
Probably.
I don't know how much is influence versus like. Obviously, I loved it, but like sometimes you have to be initially influenced to sign. Your parents are the ones signing you up for things.
Yeah, true.
So I'm
Or
really
if
curious.
you have a friend that like did a sport,
Yeah.
you know, then like you have like I always wanted to play ice hockey. I don't know why actually, because I didn't really have any friends that played ice hockey,
You
but
probably just
I
thought on TV that was
always
cool.
wanted to play ice hockey.
Along with sports, I also think that you should join as many clubs as possible. And like maybe the club's whack, but like give it a try. I always feel like the kids who are like more involved in the school, like you feel more connected and like I just feel like you learn a lot. Like I did like what was it?
You get like hands-on experience, like
What is
meeting new people, like creating new things. Like
yeah.
I like that.
I
think
did
you do
student
learn a lot.
council in high school and like
Like student government or whatever
yeah,
they
yeah,
call
student
it.
council,
Like
student government.
yes, I don't even know what you're doing that because I wasn't in it, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did that and I ran for class president. I was class president for 3 years and like it wasn't really like you had to do that much stuff, but I honestly thought it was just fun. Like it was cool like to be involved and to like I don't know, just like be involved.
I like it.
I always feel like it's better. And then like okay, another thing I want to talk about when it like relates to being involved is Josh didn't go to his like homecomings.
I didn't go to
His dances.
I did
Any
go.
dances.
I went to prom.
You
but
didn't
it
even go to
wasn't-
your prom.
It wasn't my prom.
Who doesn't go to their prom? It's like we're so different in high school, I swear.
I don't know why. Cause like now, like I would 1,000,000% go. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think I just didn't like school so much. I was like, why would I want to go like
To a school event?
school event? You know,
Do you
I
feel-
don't know why my mindset is so different now than it was in high school. Like maybe I don't know if I wasn't confident. I don't really know what it was.
Do
'Cause,
you
like,
feel if you would
I feel
have
like that was
changed
so
it?
long ago.
If you would have changed your mindset in high school, do you think you would have had more fun? Like if you would have been more positive?
I don't want to make it sound like I was like some like grumpy dude. Like
No, no.
I like had fun, but it was just I didn't go to the school dance. Like
No, I know, but do you think if you would have changed your like mindset just a little bit on school, like your outlook on it, you
sure,
probably would have
like
more
sitting
fun?
here now, I'm like, why the hell would I not have gone? Like
Because I
you know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
love
I
the high
definitely
school.
should have gone. Like when I went to prom, it was so fun. Like
You
why
know
would I
what's so
not go?
funny is I don't know why I always thought this was like such a big deal because like so I was like friends with a lot of like the popular kids in high school, but I wasn't really like a popular kid because I didn't like drink and like party. But I guess it really depends on who you ask. Like I feel like some kids would be like, "Oh, like you knew everyone." Like I was very involved in the school, but I
She's
didn't
a talker.
I'm a talker, but I wasn't really a popular kid because I didn't drink and stuff. And so like I would get like my feelings would get so hurt if like we'd have a homecoming and like I wasn't invited on the party bus or like sometimes I'd be like last minute invited and it was like very obvious that like I was like a last minute ad because they had room. And I was friends with some of those people, but not like but I only had like two best friends or
Yeah.
in like the popular group. But to me, it's funny because I definitely would get like my feelings like I'd be like, oh, like why aren't I a popular kid or like why I don't, you know, like, I'd
Really?
get my feelings upset. And now I'm like, it was only because I didn't really drink. Like I thought I was like, oh, like maybe the other
Interesting.
girls are like prettier than me. Like maybe I'm not like cool enough. Like, am I weird? Like this. I would think all these things that weren't even true. And now being old enough, I was like, of course they didn't. I didn't drink. And I was like, and I'm so glad I didn't drink. Like, I'm not saying I wish I would have drank to be invited to those things.
No.
Because so many things at these like popular kids' house, like the parties that they were through, so many things bad happened. Like so many kids got MIPs. So many people were like sleeping with different people and like caused so many problems for these kids in high school that I'm so glad that I got to avoid.
I think I was so naive and like once like 11th grade and senior year like I realized, but like in 10th grade I remember hearing about like parties and I'm like, yeah, right, they just probably watched like Project X at the time and like they're trying to make their party sound like it was that cool, but like in reality like they were that wild, not cool but wild, like they were really that wild. I was like, holy shit, I didn't realize that until I got older, but I was like, wow, people were really partying like that. I was just naive, like I don't know, I hung out with like I had my little friend group, like
I was
our
naive, though,
subdivision
too.
friend groups, like I don't know. We weren't doing that. We were having bonfires and like
Yeah.
doing fun stuff. I'm like, these kids were really partying back in high school.
I
like
didn't
that.
know
I was like,
kids
damn.
partied that hard. Like I knew they
Me
would like
neither.
drink, but to me at the time, like if you like were taking a couple sips of a beer, like that was like you're partying, like you're drinking.
Yeah.
And that actually leads me to another thing that I wish I knew in high school, which I did know in high school actually, but I want you guys to know is I would really, really strongly advise do not drink in high school. I feel like high school is not the time to drink. I feel like
You're
gonna
so
make
young.
you're gonna make
So
the
young.
stupidest mistakes. It's not as cool as you think it is. It's not gonna make you cooler, more accepted by people. All it's gonna do is, like, to be honest, you hear all these horror stories of these kids getting in like massive DUI accidents or accidentally killing families or doing the dumbest things that literally ruin their life because of a dumb mistake.
The thing is, when you're in high school, at least for me, like, you feel invincible.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the thought of, in my opinion, when I was young, the thought of like dying never crossed my mind.
No.
Like, I remember this was out of high school, but I got my first sport bike, my first crotch rocket, and I went like 170 miles per hour down the freeway. And like, now doing that, I would be so scared. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
you
the
have more
littlest thing
experience.
could happen. Like, I could hit a crack and go flying off, and you're instantly dead. And
Yeah.
but so, like, to add drinking to that, like, you're like, what, 16 and drinking alcohol, like, you feel invincible.
I just
like,
feel like there's enough.
and you're adding alcohol to it, so it's like way more dangerous now.
Yeah, there's just enough drama and things that go on in high school without alcohol. But I think when you incorporate that in, now you're literally just causing so many other issues that you make stupid decisions when you're drinking. I really don't think you're old enough to be drinking in high school. And like, don't get me wrong, I drank maybe like twice in high school, but not at high school parties, like with like my friends outside.
I never drank in high school.
And
I don't think I had my first drink until I was underage, but
yeah.
19.
But I didn't like go to parties or anything like that. And like, honestly, that is something I am so grateful for, because I just know a lot of those kids who were going to the parties all the time. It's like a lot of times, like, they don't end up going anywhere in life, because it's like that was the peak of their life. That was the highlight. And they're living in that glory of like, oh, like, remember this and that. And like, I know there's some people who will be successful out of that. But the thing is like, I genuinely feel like you're just going to save yourself so much headache and so much trouble. And honestly, life is so much easier, especially when you're getting along with your parents. And I know your parents will definitely like if you're not doing that.
True. Hey, there's probably some parents out there that support it. But another one we have written down is college isn't for everybody.
I love this one because like I said about the grades and stuff, I really thought that college was so important. And I do think college is important. I don't dog on college. I think education is so, so important, but I think it's not for everyone. And I think that's the miscommunication, is like, sometimes I just thought, I'm like, well, if you don't go to college, you don't get a job. Nowadays, that's not true at all.
Well, it all depends on what you want to do and what you're trying to do. But like, for me, I knew college was not for me. I remember I tried. I even gave it the old college try. But at that point, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, why am I even going here?
But here's my thing. I really believe, I don't think you should just be like, oh, college isn't for me, and have no plan.
Well, yeah, it's not like I laid down and did nothing, or I was sleeping in like, oh, I'm not going to go to college anymore. Like, I was grinding.
I know a lot of parents will like want to kick out their kid too, especially when they're like, okay, you're not going to college, you're not working, you're just living in our house. And I totally get that, because it's like, once you're out of high school, it is time to wake up. And if you're not in college and you need to have a job, that doesn't mean it needs to be your career, but you need to be working towards something and start thinking of things you want to do. You know, you need to start. The thing is everyone thinks that right out of high school, though, you have to have your career. You have so many years to figure out what your career is. Try different jobs, try different things, but work at something. Don't just be lazy and sit there. You know, you need to work at something.
Yeah, I think you should try everything. Like, try going to college. You hated it, whatever. Okay, try this job. Like, try to get an internship with this job. Like, do something for free for someone to try it out, see if you like it. And then maybe now you have to go to college to get a degree to work in that job. Like, but you never would have known if you would have liked it or not.
I think going to a community college is honestly a really smart thing, because we both did that. And like, you'll
save a lot of money.
I didn't want to not go to college and just sit at home and do nothing, because I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. So I went to college. And I think that was a good choice, because it made me realize when I was in college, I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. Like, I tried it. I know that it's not for me. So I'm going to like, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, I hate school. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I hate school. Like, who really loves doing like all the schoolwork?
Totally.
You know, so I do think you should give things a try. If you don't know what you want to do, maybe do community college. It's a lot cheaper. You're not going to waste as much money, but also get a job in that time.
Okay, all of these have been good points so far. We're going to go and read off the top 10 things people wish they knew and react to them.
Okay, are we coming back to this?
we can come back to that.
Okay.
So, number 1 is don't worry about what other people think of you. Thoughts?
That is so true. It's so funny. In high school, I feel like I cared so much more, like
Why?
what people thought of my
Why
outfit.
though?
Like,
Why do we do that? Like, I was the same way.
because we're insecure.
Is that what it is?
And I was a pretty
Is
confident.
that what it is?
Yes,
I don't know.
I was pretty confident in high school, so it wasn't full insecurity, but like I am way more confident as an adult. Like once you totally know who you are, I feel like when you get older, you get a little bit more confidence with knowing who you are. But in high
That's
school,
true.
you're unsure. You want to be accepted by people. You don't want to be the loser. You don't want to be the kid, the outcast. So it's like that's why you're seeking validation from the older high school kids. You're seeking validation through what
Very
you
true,
wear,
very true.
why you didn't get into that party, how good your grades are. You're trying, I feel like, so hard in high school to seek validation from people.
That is true. Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, I don't know if it's insecurity, but like you want to be accepted though.
Which comes from a little bit of
Insecurity, probably.
insecurity.
Well,
but
yeah,
like,
because,
not
like,
that you're an insecure person. Just
That's
like
a good point, because like I feel like once you know who you are, like I feel like I know who I am so much now. If I were to go back into like my high school age, but like with the same mindset,
you wouldn't care.
I would not care. Like if I wore sweatpants to school and someone made fun of me, or like I wore this shirt like because I liked it and someone's like, "Oh, that's stupid." Like I would be like, "I don't care. I like it." But like back then, it would be like, "Oh, you really think it's stupid? Like you don't like it?
Yeah, like-
Never wear it again."
Or like you
but
don't
like why?
you don't get invited to a party and you'd be like, bro, I don't want to go to that party. One of you guys are gonna get an MIP anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like different mindset.
I honestly, I never cared that I didn't get invited to parties. Like I don't know. That wasn't, I think I was
did.
so naive that like I didn't, like I said, I didn't really realize people were doing that. And then like, honestly, it didn't sound cool to me. I didn't drink alcohol. So I didn't know.
I didn't
wanna
want to go
that.
to the parties, but it was more so like the not being accepted. And like
Yeah.
I literally would be like, why is that girl going? Like, how is she part of the popular group? Like, she's mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different mindset, I guess.
Okay. Number 2 is today is what's important. It's an interesting one.
I like it.
What do you think about it? She's giving that like I don't agree thought process.
I think let go of the past in high school. Like things happen, mistakes.
It's not
happen.
just high school. Like these are things from like older people, and they say like this is like the top 10 list, you know?
Well, actually, I do think it's really important that you don't live in the past, because we actually just listened to a whole church service on living in the past. And I thought that it was really good, because it's like, if you are so stuck on the brokenness of your past, then you have no idea. You're kind of holding yourself back for what God's going to do in your life for the future. You know, it's like, if you can't let go of the mistakes you made in the past or the things you've done, how are you going to even change and be a better person in the future? You need to totally let go of the past and live in the present.
See, for me, I take it the exact opposite way. And I think it's talking about like the future, because like, but it could be the past too. But like for me, it's like, I always think about the future. But like sometimes when you're worried about like, oh, like we got to do this or we got to have this for this, it's like, then you forget about like the present time, and like tomorrow's never promised. So you never know.
That's true.
So I think that's kind of the mindset on it.
That is true. It's like always live and like be grateful every day for like, because you don't know what tomorrow holds.
Yeah.
But I also, what was the thing they said at church? It was about, do something for yourself today that tomorrow will thank you for. I thought that was so good.
Oh,
because,
100%.
Because it's like, okay, I eat healthy today. I'm not going to see any change today. It's going to suck today, but do something for yourself today that's going to help tomorrow. And I think that mindset will get you so much further in life, whether it's working out, eating healthy, making good choices.
Pretty much anything that's good in life is going to take time. It's like a compound interest. It's like if you eat healthy for one day, you're not skinny the next day, or you're not shredded, or whatever your goal is. But like if you do it for like 6 months to a year, then you start to see results. Like same thing with like,
and it's
obviously
hard.
Working at a job, you're trying to get a raise. You're not going to get a raise after working there for one day, or whatever it's going to be.
But a lot of times people want something satisfaction now. They want a junk food meal now but they also want to be fit. So it's
I have that mindset until about 9 p.m. at night. And then I'm like, today is what's important. And I eat some cookies.
I mean, it's totally okay to eat cookies. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like doing things that kind of suck in the moment or seem like that you don't want to do it. Like maybe you don't want to go for a run, or you don't want to eat healthy, or you don't want to not drink or something. Yeah. But then it's like, you're like, I'm going to do it for tomorrow. So I think that's a good mindset.
Okay. Number 3 was let it go. Like,
let it go. Let it go.
Exactly. Basically just saying like, you know, if something happens, like let it go, you know,
I think
like
that is,
move on.
you know, that's actually so interesting because my mom just told me a situation of her and her like lifelong best friend. They've been friends since high school, and they actually didn't talk for like 5 years because my mom couldn't afford like a wedding dress or to stand up in her wedding. So she asked her if she could like make payments to her, if she could buy it and then she could
Yeah.
make payments. They didn't talk for 5 years because her friend thought that she was just expecting her to pay for it. So obviously it was like a
Yikes.
really stupid thing. And they laugh about it today and they're like, how did we like not talk for 5 years because of this? And I think it is so important to let things go because
I'm
sometimes
assuming she didn't stand up in her wedding then.
probably not. I don't know. Probably
Dang,
not.
that's tough.
No, I know. So like think about it. It's like letting things go that really aren't a big deal because sometimes in the moment they might seem like such a big deal. Like I'm sure that felt like such a big deal to both of them, but it really wasn't a big deal. And if they would have let that go and like I think to let things go and communicate with each other is always better than holding
Yeah,
grudges.
most of the time it's always like a misunderstanding. Like that sounds like a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And you can always work it out. But
And even with relationships, like let it go. Like
True.
at the end of the day, do you guys like love each other? You know, is it something that's so like detrimental to the relationship? That's a little bit different. But like,
also, even with any relationship or anything you're holding on to, like if you hold on to it, like say, like I'm not saying like someone does you wrong and like just let it go, be friends, but like, you know, like let it go, like don't hold on to that. Because
Yeah.
you don't want to hold on to that stress and
well,
resentment
it's like if you had like
and anger.
a friendship fallout, a relationship breakup, or whatever. It's like if you sit there and you sit in the bitterness of like, oh, they did this and that, and like, oh, they did this. It's like, well, who's really losing? Because you're the one like so upset and like thinking
Yeah.
about it. So it's like if you don't let things go in your life, you're gonna be the one that gets the consequences of it.
100%.
So, like Elsa said, let it go. Let it
She's
go.
got a good voice. I'm not going to lie. Number 4.
Shut up. I shut up. No, I
like
do
it.
not. Okay.
Number 4 was it's called work for a reason. I feel like we kind of touched on this topic already, but it's like nothing good is going to come overnight. It's like, I think a lot of people think like, oh, I'm going to get this success overnight, but it takes years and years of compound interest. And so from an older person looking down, I feel like that's why that is number 4, because I don't know. I feel like once you're older, you realize it's like, okay, nothing good is going to come in one day.
Well, think about it. If you're like, let's say you're like 40, 30, whatever, you have your career job, you work a 9 to 5, and you go into work every day and you have no purpose or reason for why you're going to work. You're going to start to like not like your job as much because you don't really have that purpose, that drive, that like reason. But I feel like if you go in with a reason for your job, whether your reason is to lead people to Christ, whether your reason is to be a good leader or to grow in your job or to really help like your field that you're in, like if you don't have goals, I feel like things are going to become very repetitive. Work's not going to be as exciting. You're not going to look forward to going to every day. And honestly, you're probably just not going to like your work.
You're not going to perform.
You're not going to perform. You're not going to like your work as much. So I honestly just think it makes it better for yourself.
Number 5 is believe in yourself.
I like that one. You know what? I feel like we're both pretty good at believing in ourselves.
Yeah.
But one thing that does make me really sad is I do read a lot of comments, a lot of DMs of like different girls like just not believing in themselves, not believing, like being so insecure about themselves or like what they can do or who they are or like defining themselves based on how much money they make, the job they have. And like, I feel like sometimes people just don't seem like they believe in themselves enough.
I agree.
Whether it comes to working out, eating healthy, the jobs, everything. And I'm like, you are so much better than you are giving yourself credit for.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I definitely agree.
Or people
it's easy. It is easy to get down in the dumps sometimes.
Oh,
but
100%.
You got to bring yourself out of that. And that's why number 4 and number 5 go well together because like when you start putting in the work for something you want, then you slowly start to believe in yourself even more. It's like, because now you're building up this confidence in your own self. It's like, I said I was going to do this. I did it. I do it again the next day and the next day. And it's like, now I really do believe in myself. Or it's like, I remember when I was in high school, I was a twig. I got made fun of for being skinny. And I was like, the first couple of times I worked out, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's no way. Like I'm never going to be big. Like I'm never going to get muscle. I'm always going to be a skinny kid. And then like, I just kept doing it. And I started to believe in myself and like, boom, it happened.
Shredded. You know what's so funny is someone actually the other day at the pickleball courts, they're like, how long have you been competing for? And Josh was like, what? What do you mean?
I did not know what they were talking about. I thought they were talking about how long I've been competing for in pickleball. I was like, bro, I just.
And he's like, oh, I just play pickleball for fun. He goes, no, bodybuilding. Like, how long have you been competing for?
I was like,
Josh was like, no, I've worked out like you know, when you do things for so long
Been
and
working out for
you're
like 10
consistent,
years.
like you're going to get results.
Consistency, baby, is key.
Yes.
All right, number 6 is don't burn your bridges. This is a hard one for people.
This is hard. I think the thing with burning bridges is sometimes it's like when you have falling outs with people is you need both sides to I guess it's hard to like forgive someone if they're not even asking for forgiveness, if they think they're in the wrong. So sometimes it's like there will be things like friendship fallouts or there will be things that happen.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times burning your bridges will come to play like later in life. Like you don't want to do that for work or life.
I remember people used to always tell me that because I did burn a bridge.
What
I used to work
bridge?
at a fast food restaurant and I quit like before, like an hour before my shift. And I remember, I think it was my mom or my dad. They're like, "You shouldn't burn your bridges, son." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, but I don't ever want to work there again." So,
I think
but you never know though. Later in life, maybe I will go work another job and like that person's the manager. It's like, remember when you quit like an hour before?
yeah. I do think it's good to not burn your bridges, but sometimes it's inevitable. Like things happen.
It does
But I
happen.
think the main thing to burning your bridges and to avoid that is to communicate, or if there's ever issues, I'm telling you, just like calling someone up and explaining yourself always gets so much further.
You can always work it out.
Yeah.
Number 7 is money is not the most important thing. Excuse me.
Money's not the most important thing. I 100% agree with that. And it's so funny because people always be like, "Oh yeah, coming from someone with money." Like people always say that, and I'm like, I've said that since I didn't have money. So nice try. Because I genuinely believe that like there's a reason there's so many celebrities that are sad or like go down these rabbit holes of using drugs and partying and abuse in certain ways. It's because money is not everything. But I know people
True.
think it is. It's not.
I think relationships is the most important thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Relationships and just relationships, honestly.
Yeah.
Community.
I think
That's what
community
you
is so
need.
important.
You got to have community.
I mean, if you have all this money and no one to celebrate it with, like, that's not fun. Don't get me wrong, money can be fun.
Sure, money could be fun, but like I feel like the saddest thing in life that would ever happen is to have like
All the money and no friends.
all the money and no friends or like no one to celebrate it with, or
I'd rather be
not
poor.
even celebrate it with, because like you don't have to celebrate your money, but like you know what I'm saying?
Celebrate
Like I
life
feel like
with,
that would
though.
be sad. Like you want to do life with people. Like I don't know, relationships is everything. At the
I'd
end of the
rather-
day, like you're not gonna be on your deathbed and be like, "Oh, but like I had all this money. Look at me." It's no, you're gonna
You'll be
like,
alone. You'll be
you're
like,
gonna think
where are all
about
my
all
friends?
the relationships you had and like all the fun times, all the fun memories. Like
Yeah, I'd rather be poor and have a ton of friends than be rich and have zero friends.
I agree, 100%. We're almost there. Number 8, don't be afraid to stand up and stand out. Coming
I like
from
that.
young Katie B, you know, she's this, you know,
Thanks.
the definition of that one.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I said definitely like a million times. I had the personality where I was like, I do not care. Like you can make fun of me. Obviously there would be times where I did care, but like I had a pretty strong personality and I definitely felt like I did stand out. And that's why
Katie B did YouTube before YouTube was cool. You know what I'm
was
saying?
not
Now I
cool.
feel like if you were to start a YouTube channel in high school, I
might
feel like
get-
probably every kid has a YouTube channel in high school nowadays.
you
Like
might
you're
get
gonna
teased a little
you get
for like,
teased for sure,
but
probably.
it's at least people can see the value in doing something, you know, like back then no one knew the value that could come from YouTube.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I do think stand out, do what you love. Who cares what other people think? But yeah.
Number 9 is it's not a race. I struggle with this one. I'm not gonna lie, because like when I want something, I want it now, or like I want to work so hard for it and get it, but things just take time.
But it's not a race too, because even think like if you're talking in of like money terms, like think like The Rock wasn't successful until he was like way older. Like there's so many people who come to success later in life, or like there's so many people who get married later in life or married young, or you know, like different things happen at different times. Everyone's on their own timeline.
Well, that's the thing that I think that's way harder than like it's not a race. More so like when you see someone that's like so young and successful, or like someone just got married and maybe you're not married and you're like, holy crap, like
You want
I'm
that,
3
or-
years older than them, or whatever it may be. It's like now you're like, dang, like I need to hurry up, I need to speed up. But it's like everyone's on their own timeline.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone has their own timeline. Don't compare yourself to other people and be like, oh, well, like they're already married, they already have a successful job, and I'm not. That doesn't mean to say that you're not going to have a more successful job in a couple of years, or
True.
that doesn't mean that, and not even in a competition way, but it's like that doesn't mean that this is your story forever. You know, like you
there's
have.
so many people out there that like didn't become millionaires or whatever till they were like 40 years old. Like
Yeah.
they just figured something out and they're like, hey, I'm gonna do this.
Yep.
Like it's not a race. You have so much time too.
Yeah. I like that one a lot because I feel like so many people put their age on like
yeah. Number 10 is my favorite one, and is look for the good in everything. I promise you, like when you start doing this, and everyone, it's hard. This is one of the hardest things to do. But like if you just can think of positive things about everything that happens in life, you will be so much happier.
So much happier.
Like there's obviously certain
really good
situations that like, yeah, it's a
okay.
shitty
Here's the
situation.
only thing I'll say about that. And there's been times
This
is
should be
sometimes
good.
Joshy B looks for the good in everyone, and which
True.
I love about him. But sometimes I'm like, Josh, like you have to also pay attention sometimes to red flags. But I also feel like for the most part, you're right. And like looking for the good in situations always leaves you so much happier, because like there'll be times when like let's say we were like hanging out with another couple or something and they said something and I was like, oh, like that seemed kind of weird. And you're like, oh, well, like maybe they meant it like this. And I'm like, if I leave the conversation thinking like, oh, they meant it in this mean way versus this nice way, I'm going to leave it so much happier than being bitter about something. Or even like your boss. Like if you think about, I don't know, the nicer way that it could have been, or like you think about maybe they're just having a hard day, or maybe they're just, you give people the benefit of the doubt, like you're going to live such a happier life.
No, 100%.
There may be times you get burned over, but but it's better.
Honestly. Yeah, but
honestly.
like, and then it just comes back to like, look for the good in everything. I think everything happens for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to go down the friends example, like if you have friends and you're not friends with them anymore, like I think everything happens for a reason. It's like not something to sit there and dwell on forever.
I genuinely,
you just move on. Like you go on to the next thing, and like you just, for me, it's like, that's another thing too. Like if we're staying on this topic, like if you look at certain friends, like, I mean, I'm 28 years old. I've had a lot of friends, lost a lot of friends. It's like, you look back and it's like, maybe you look at the falling out, or you look at the good things that happen and be positive about it. Like why be like a negative person? I feel like it just kills you inside.
I believe that everything happens for a reason, whether it's good or bad. And I believe that God puts certain people into your life for a reason, whether that's a boyfriend at the time, friends, you know, like certain people. Sometimes people are only friends for a season. And I think that that's okay, because sometimes I think you needed that season, or you needed that. And sometimes I even think like, even with my ex-boyfriend, like, I think I needed that to get a little wake up call to be like, wait a minute, this isn't what I want. I learned so much from it. And from that relationship, I knew how I wanted my other relationships to go.
Yeah, there's so many things. There's like so much to learn you could get fired from a job or let go from your job. Like maybe they did cuts and you got let go. It's like you gotta, I mean, that's tough, you know, that's a hard situation, but like you got to try to look for the good in everything. Like maybe it opens up more time for you to pick up this thing you were doing on the side and turn it into a business or whatever it may be. Or maybe you're going to find a way better paying job, or a job you'll be way happier at. So
instead of having the poor me mindset, like I think it's good to be like, okay, what's next? Like this sucks, but like this happened for a reason, and I'm going to figure out the reason.
Yeah. And find the good in it. Because if you just sit there and dwell on how sad it is, like, well, now you just lost your job and now you're sitting there being sad. Like it's a lose-lose, or you could have a lose and like try to turn it into something positive. So.
I agree. Was that the last one on your list?
That was all 10.
Okay. So I have a couple more, and to wrap it up, of things we wish we knew as teenagers. And this one I thought was really good, because I talked about teachers a little bit, and like how I do love and respect teachers. But I will say teachers aren't always right. Some teachers are right, and some teachers
are human too. They're human. You know, like same with like pastors and all of that. Like those everybody is human. You know, everybody makes mistakes. I don't think you should ever disrespect a teacher, but sometimes I don't think you should always listen, because think of how many rappers will come out in their songs and basically say how teachers said that they were going nowhere, or teachers made them feel like certain teachers would definitely put them down. It's funny because I definitely felt that way, because I had like this one teacher who literally would bully me in high school and like talk shit about me to other teachers and then make fun of me in front of my sister. And my sister's like, you're not going to talk about my sister like that. Like I had teachers who would make fun of my YouTube videos, put me down for being stupid. And like, then I also had teachers who were amazing and totally supportive of my YouTube. It's like, there will be teachers who tell you you're going to go nowhere in life, maybe not like that, or make you feel that way, but that's not true. And then there will be teachers who genuinely are trying to like pour into kids' lives. Yeah. So just because they're a teacher doesn't mean that they have all the answers, is all I'm saying. Yeah, but definitely respect
your teacher. 100%. Never disrespect your teachers. Like, I think teachers, and if
they do,
show them what's up.
Prove them wrong.
If
they tell you you're not going to be something, be like, all right, I'll show you. Yeah.
So to my math grade teacher in the 10th grade, what's up? No, just kidding.
What's up?
What's up,
How
boy?
you doing?
No, just kidding. No, but it's funny because I think in high school sometimes you're like, oh, but they're a teacher, like they know, and it's like sometimes most of the times teachers are right and they do want to pour into kids and they do have good intentions, but that's just like to say like every pastor is perfect. That's not true. They're human. Teachers are human. Everyone's human. Everyone makes mistakes. So
No, I agree.
and same thing with your parents, to be honest. Like I think like parents are always trying to guide you and they want the best for you.
Very
but that
true.
doesn't mean that your parents are always right. And I know like Gary Vee preaches that all the time. I think it is so important to listen to your parents, respect your parents. They provide for you. They pay for a lot of things for you and they do love you and they want to protect you. And a lot of times when you're a kid, you think you're like, oh, you just want to control me. You just want to tell me I can't do this. No, they just want you to be safe because they love you. But sometimes parents will be like, oh, like I know that there was like, my parents were pretty supportive of YouTube, but like they did make a couple comments like, about not doing YouTube because they didn't understand it, not because they didn't. But I think that sometimes your parents can be wrong and that's okay. But still to respect them.
Always respect your elders.
Yep. All right. Next on the list. Oh wait, that was it. I guess the last one was make smart choices, stay away from drinking in high school.
Wow. Okay. You heard it here first from Katie B.
Yep. So make smart choices.
The last one. That's one we're going out with, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think that one's just so good. Like, I just feel like alcohol can be so bad in high school and like lead kids to so many problems, do things that they're going to regret and just make situations like way harder. And I think it's like just focus on spending time with your friends, working on things you love, passions.
Yep.
And going to the school dances.
100%. My last one would be just be confident in everything you do and believe in yourself and yeah, you'll crush it. As a teenager, being confident, I feel like is everything.
Confidence is so important. And like, I know some people might be like, oh, well, like, how do you get confident? Fake it till you make it. Sometimes confidence is faking it till you make it. Till you genuinely believe it.
I did read like a thing and don't quote me, but it's like your brain doesn't know the difference between like real confidence and confidence or whatever it was.
Yeah,
like whatever it was,
confidence.
it's like you can actually fake it till you make it with that.
I think you can. I think you 100%
100% it is.
And I think that like that's not to say all confidence is fake, but I think sometimes you just need to have that mindset because then you're telling yourself, you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And you start to not care what other people think. And I think it's so important.
100%.
But anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I thought this one was really good. I wish I could have listened to this when I was in high school or younger, or honestly even older, because I think there's a lot of good advice in here. Comment down below if there's anything we missed.
And send it to somebody that needs to hear it or that just wants entertainment. And we love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
Peace.